It's Tuesday, July 27th. Coming up live on The View. They're the hottest topics in the headlines. From Chelsea's reported $6,000 a guest wedding to Sarah Palin and Kate Gosselin's camping trip, and why New Jersey's governor wants to disown the cast of The Jersey Shore. Plus, America Ferrera is telling you why paparazzi were hot on her trail after an appearance on The View. Then, ever wonder why you go for the bad boy or think all the good ones are taken? A doctor who broke the code of sexual attraction has all the answers about love and sex you haven't figured out yet. All that, hot topics and more, coming up live on The View.
To The View. We have to start by reminding you that this Thursday, July 29th, Barbara is making a special appearance when, for the first time in history, a sitting president appears on a daytime talk show. And what talk show is that? I believe it's called The View.
Yeah, baby.
President Barack Obama will be here, and I do like saying that. I'm not gonna lie. Now, onwards. You know, the New York Daily News is reporting that the price tag of Chelsea Clinton's wedding will be between $3 and $5 million, which is at least $6,000 per guest. Now, you know, I don't know.
That's actually pretty good because you figure in this recession, he's got $3 to $5 million. With the breakdown that we're about to give everybody, a lot of people are being put to work.
That's true.
And this is what you're supposed. You know, they say in recession you're not supposed to stop spending. You're supposed to keep spending.
People should, if you have the money,
which they do,
you should take care of your daughter in the way she wants to be taken care of. If this is at all even close to being, I mean, I just find it.
Well, just know between 2000 and 2007, they said they made like $100-something million dollars. So let's keep it in perspective with that amount of money.
If it's a percentage of your income, and if you take it as a percentage of your income.
Okay, so if you start breaking down everything.
Spending it on a divorce because you really need to. A wedding, I mean, a wedding could be on the beach. It could be, 100 people, kind of nice.
But if you do the breakdown,
they spent more on flowers than security. This is what I don't understand. Reportedly, if this is true, I would think they want more security than flowers.
No,
security is $200,000 because they have to monitor the land, the air, and the sea.
But flowers is more than that, which is my point.
Flowers?
$250,000, I think, was on this reported list on the second one that we got. That's a lot of money on flowers.
Maybe they like gardenias and jasmines better.
I don't know. Some of this came from, some woman who said she knew the wedding planner, and she's estimating who they're using. But I think this is, one of the reasons they may not be using this one is because of this.
Right.
So I just
this is going to be the wedding. There's going to be a ton of celebrities, a ton of politicians.
Explain to me why they're spending the money. It's their money.
I'm saying it for everybody
else. If my was getting married, again, and she wanted a gigantic wedding like that, I'd send her to the Clintons.
But a lot of folks don't know the breakdown of why they would be spending so much.
It makes the world go round, money, so they need to spend it.
People spend what they spend on.
I mean, like I said, if you look at how much they've made and how much they're going to spend, that's pretty relative. If it's true.
If it's true. But it's like those 16-year-old birthday parties. People spend insane amounts of money on their kids' parties. That's what kids
spend.
do.
And, like if let's say you rent a house and, for a lot of money, which I know somebody who did that, a lot of money, you're not really contributing to the economy when you're doing that. I don't think as much as this, because this really spreads it out to a lot of people, as you said.
How do you know? I mean, unless there are more attendants, like doing things, or more. Well, if you're paying a flat fee for flowers,
building, for example, that's construction work. The flower industry is doing well. The invitations cost $150
So this is how we're supposed to fix the economy. Spend more on weddings.
I don't.
That's what Bush said that after 9/11. He said spend.
Sure.
So now.
I don't care how much they spend on
the wedding
wedding
industry, they spend $65 billion a year on the wedding industry. That's a really big industry.
A lot of people
so
working.
the Clintons are no different. I know when I got married, I saved up money from my reruns, anything that was on reruns. I think I did my wedding on 10 grand. We had in like this old folks home, and we had to spray Glade because the smell, like the reception, and we just saved up a little money and barely. And I told people they couldn't bring kids, and I put little disposable cameras on everybody's table, and that was our pictures. Everything and everybody.
People do that. That's a great idea.
Just don't go to City Hall and then throw a big party.
You want the big party.
You don't want people think they want the big party until they get the bill.
I love the big party. For me, it was magic. I dreamed about it since I was little, and I feel like
you dreamed about getting married in the old folks' home.
Not the old folks' home. That's the one I had. You got to compromise when you're not working. I wasn't working.
This is true. But compromise does work, because check this out. In Touch magazine reports that Kate Gosselin and her family are on a camping trip in Alaska with Sarah Palin. Gosselin. I'm just reading what they're telling me. Gosselin and Palin reps haven't confirmed this, but both of them, their TV shows are on TLC, and cameras are supposedly following them. Wow.
What an experience for the kids. I mean, to be able to learn, you know, the history there.
What do these two have in common besides a lack of birth control?
She had her husband helping her with it.
I'm glad that she had the kids that she had. That I think
they're blessings.
I'm just saying.
I'm not 29 of them.
I'm not dissing the kids that she had. She had them. I'm just saying. They don't use birth control.
maybe they do.
They're great.
The daughter obviously didn't. She doesn't. The Goslins didn't. So there you have it.
And they got these children who have amazing destinies and blessings.
That's
awesome.
I know Alex is watching. Alex, I'm sorry, but you know, birth control sometimes is just overrated. Because my daughter, who I love and adore, I took my birth control pill because I wasn't ready to have kids, and the next thing I knew, the doctor was like, "You're pregnant." I was like, "What?" "No, I'm taking a pill." He said, "Well, you know, nothing is 100% except not doing it."
Right.
I said, "Well, I can't do that." Right. I mean, now I can, you know, stop all now, but not then. Silly. How about this?
The hormones.
The hormones do get you, but then I feel like I got stopped mid-hormone. It was like,
What do you mean? What do you mean?
Because, you know, I remember waking up and I was like, I'm hot, I'm gonna get some. Look at me. And then,
Can you do that again?
Look at me. And then suddenly, I was like going out the door, and I was like, I don't even care. I'm hot, I'm dry.
Oh, God.
You know?
What do you mean you're dry?
You know what I mean, I'm dry.
It's an attitude thing, Whoopi.
No,
It's an attitude thing.
this is a biological thing. This has nothing. Being positive mean anything on your biology. You can be like, yes. It was like, why not? What's going on? It's crazy. You just never know. You know what? We're gonna take a break. Hey, we're gonna come right back. Woo. Now, 6 years worth of secret U.S. documents on the war in Afghanistan have been leaked that bring up a lot of new questions about what's really going on over there. I mean, how do you guys feel? I mean, what has sort of gotten me really riled up is that in these documents there are names of, you know, Afghans who have been helping the U.S. come in and do what they need to do, and they've now exposed all these people.
Yeah, they exposed a lot.
You mean
helping the U.S. find the bad guys?
Well,
it's also exposed.
And you've now. I'm sorry. Go ahead, baby.
No, it's also exposed things like, you know, Pakistani linked to Al Qaeda, and you know, it exposed a lot.
Yeah, but it's exposed people to death, basically.
But it's also it's exposing this 20. They're blaming a lot of this on this 22-year-old Army intelligence analyst named Bradley Manning, who leaked a lot of this stuff. And the stuff that you see, you're going, Why are we here? It doesn't seem to be working. The Pakistanis, it says, are being funded by the Taliban, and we're supposed to be helping them, and it just seems like everything is canceling.
I understand all of that. I understand all of that, and they say, you know, we leaked it because we wanted the American people to know. But I'm saying you leaked this you leaked certain information that has now put at risk the people who actually are helping us. And I don't understand why you wouldn't be smart enough to realize that once you've exposed this, because now Al-Qaeda's got all the information, and maybe that's what the whole idea was, to give them the information. But now they can say, oh, you know, this guy is helping them, this guy is helping them. Let's take their family out. So why expose
this has happened before, and then, you know, there's been times when the past administrations have then put pressure on either, you know, say a New York Times or a publication to not put it out there. There wasn't that pressure this time. The New York Times was free to print it as well. You have to wonder why they're putting this information out, if then it does put, indeed, our soldiers at risk. And Afghanistan is a mess, you know, and this guy, he's 22-year-old Private Manning, not private at all. He was actually listening, pretending to listen to Lady Gaga CDs as he encrypted things onto these things. I mean,
it was, Elizabeth, it's wild. If the war is not working, then you are helping these guys to get out of Afghanistan.
You're helping them this way?
Well,
really? I'm sure that this does not help them, indeed.
During the Vietnam War, when the Pentagon Papers came out, it was very much a factor in ending the war in Vietnam.
But the difference is we don't have this, you know, this is a different kind of exposure, because the Pentagon Papers came out and we didn't have access to everything. We had to wait until it was printed, and remember, we had to wait until it was printed and thing. This is here for anybody, including the enemy, to see. And I understand you want to stop the war. I don't understand why you would put people's lives who are helping in danger.
You had a young man who's 22 years old, and he leaked this to another.
He couldn't have been the only one.
No, the person he leaked it to, who had gone to jail for what do you call it, hacking on computers. He said, the Manning guy, he said that he was self-medicating because he had been in isolation so long at his job. So he wanted to live a nice, normal life. I don't know if you got to put these guys in for a period of time and bring them out because he can't talk to anybody.
This guy was unhappy in the position that he was on. This is about him being unhappy in his position and not thinking of anyone beside himself. This is what this is about, a 22-year-old Private Manning who was unhappy and wants to put people at risk.
How did Private Manning, private, that means you sort of just got there, like recently. I always think private means you knew. How the heck
did he get it?
But they don't think he was the only,
what was he doing in there?
This wasn't ultra. Some of this information wasn't exactly ultra top secret. There are probably hundreds of thousands of people privy to this kind of information. The difference is that it stays within that community. What he did, the fact that he had the information wasn't so, you know, astounding. It's the fact that he actually took the step to leak it and put all of those troops at risk for his own, I don't know.
This is not the end of the story, so we will.
We don't know his motivation, but it's certainly selfish.
52 years in prison.
It's a renegade operation that sabages the work that we're doing, good or bad. It's a mess, but it's not the way to go about getting the troops home safe.
I'm sorry, all those folks, I'm scared for their families. I'm scared for them, and I know that this is going to clam a lot of people up who might have helped us. But this is an ongoing story, and we will keep an eye on it.
They're saying that Al-Qaeda's are not hardly in Afghanistan anymore, that they're all over the place.
They are all over the place. Like
it's a quagmire there.
It's time to get out.
It may be. It's a complete quagmire.
This may be the impetus to get us out.
Maybe we'll see what happens. It's going to be ongoing. We'll keep you posted. A few months ago, Southwest Airlines made headlines for kicking off an overweight passenger, you know, from the flight. Now they're back in the headlines for kicking off a skinny passenger because of an overweight teenager who needed 2 seats.
Now, they had a lady on here. There was a lady.
Is that they give these people not only 2 seats, but 2 meals, and that makes them even fatter.
But on Southwest, maybe he only bought one because you got to pay for that food. But there was a lady, what happened, there was a lady, she was going standby, but she had paid full fare for a ticket. And then they let her on the plane. Then when they brought the kid on, they made her get off. And she said that when she protested, the crew gave her a hard time. I think if she paid for a ticket, you can't say now you got to get off.
So you're going to kick a kid off?
No, you cannot kick him off. She was already sitting in the seat.
She needed the second seat.
Off. I don't agree with that.
Look, you kind of yield to the fact that it's a minor. This is a young girl who was trying to get somewhere, and you do the right thing.
She was trying to get somewhere, too.
I'm sure they offered her a flight
That's not the point. If you got to go see your family, you got to go see somebody you paid full fare for a ticket.
If I'm sitting next to a 14-year-old, if I'm an adult traveling by myself and there's a 14-year-old girl who needs an extra seat to get somewhere, I'm going to say, you know what, you're 14 years old, take the flight. I'm an adult, I can make it work.
It depends on what she had to do.
Your kids waiting for you at the other end.
Absolutely.
Let me tell you, when I travel with my kids, all bets are off. I need my seats, I need my rows, I need my snacks.
You don't know. That's what I'm saying, Elizabeth.
You don't know where she was
going and what she had to do.
Maybe she was going to a sick mother.
Maybe she was. Maybe the 14-year-old girl was traveling by herself, uncertain about where she was going.
I mean, with the 2 seats, I would be upset if I paid for a ticket and then you kicked me off.
Here's what will really upset you. Jersey Shore. It may be reality TV's hottest show, but not everyone is a fan, like New Jersey Governor Chris Christie. Take a look.
MTV's Jersey Shore. Positive for New Jersey or negative?
Negative for New Jersey. I mean, because what it does is takes a bunch of New Yorkers, who most of the people on Jersey Shore are New Yorkers, takes a bunch of New Yorkers, drops them at the Jersey Shore, and tries to make America feel like this is New Jersey.
I guess that's
Don't put it on us. What is he putting it on us for?
Well, they don't want them.
Nobody wants to claim them.
But obviously somebody wants them, Sherry, because we're the biggest show on...
They're the highest rated show on MTV. But
what gets me is that it took me 20 years to get an article in the New York Times, and this twit's on the cover of the style section.
Does it hurt that, New Jersey as far as people coming out there and tourism? I would think more people would want to come out because of the Jersey Shore kids.
Yeah, but it'd be very easy to get punched in the face.
Yeah,
if you're from somewhere else saying, hey, I want to see the Jersey Shore kids. Are you at Jersey? It's like, talk to me. It's like, pow, walk away. But you should not solve your problems with violence. I'm not advocating that at all. For those of you who got your pens out to say something, I was just making a ha-ha because I'm a comedian. Okay. Now, we'll be back with even more hot topics.
Because you hit one.
Mad Men star Christina Hendricks, who was here the other day, is reportedly becoming a role model for quote, real or regular women because of her curves. Now, do you think she wants that title? Because every time somebody says you look like a regular woman, they ditch 45 pounds and then come out like a shoestring.
Yeah. Depends who you say it to, I think.
Right.
You know what I mean? I think there are a lot of, I'd say, white girls out there that if you tell them they look healthy or if they got a lot of curves, they're kind of like offended by that. You know what I mean? I think there's a tendency to want to be like a stick boy figure right now, unfortunately, but it's what I think women aren't necessarily considering a compliment if they're like, oh, you look healthy and robust.
It's got to be, though, for the white girls, big booties are in now. You're starting to be okay with now. Because it used to be, when I was growing up, a white girl, like, if you said big booty,
right.
No, big booty.
Right.
Like,
Like, if you're searching for how to get rid of it immediately.
And the lips, now everybody's lips are gigantic.
And the tan. You don't want to be black.
Yeah, exactly. Look at Snooki.
The Snooki. Snooki looks like your cousin.
She is my cousin.
Do you think that they say real because she is real, her boobs are real? She's not manufactured.
They are real. I checked them out. They're real. I was looking. I'm like,
we had our lesbian moments that day, looking at down there and around.
No, I mean, I just haven't seen any so long with myself. I was like, whoa, that's possible.
And they're kind of up there.
Yeah.
Well, they're not like Snoopy nose.
She's very young.
She's young.
I got Snoopy nose. I'm not going to lie.
You know what they say? The bigger they are, the harder they fall. So.
Well, you tell me.
Yeah.
There are, marks in the floor from where I've been going back and forth, but that's a whole other thing.
Are you saying they slide?
Oh, no, mine didn't slide. That would have been fine. Mine just were like, forget it. There are new studies that show there is a rise, speaking of Christina, in late-blooming lesbians. More and more women are choosing same-sex partners, even after decades of heterosexuality. Why do you think that is?
Is that as women get older, it's just like a been there, done that kind of thing, and I'm open to?
No, I'll tell you what's happening. All the older men are going for younger women, leaving the women with no one.
So that's why they're suddenly sleeping with women? That's ridiculous. I'm sorry.
Well,
I don't mean that you.
So there's a
I'm
rise.
saying if you're searching
I don't
for
mean to
someone
be
of
rude,
equal,
but
like, level, intelligence,
Then what does that say about me?
if the men are evacuating for these younger women,
As soon as you
maybe
go to
just
get
want a
another woman, we'll know
companion.
what about you.
she won't do that. No, yes, you act like women are in jail. We're not in jail.
I think you're searching for a companion that understands you, and if all the men who are, say we're in heterosexual relationships, you're looking for that, but the men who are of your age have had similar experience, and they're chasing a little
being
young
a lesbian,
one.
being gay is not just holding hands and walking through the tulips.
I understand that, but we've
there
seen
are
studies.
things that people do sexually.
That's what she's saying.
Okay.
Thank you for educating me.
Wait a minute, I'm not finished. But I don't think that you suddenly wake up and say, I think I want to do that. You wanted to do it. You were just trapped in a system that said get married.
So you're saying
Maybe.
all along.
Maybe
You're saying
both
all
happened, though.
along
But
you
all
wanted
along
to do
you were
it.
gay and you just didn't either admit it or you didn't acknowledge it or you didn't know it
Maybe.
have
I agree
friends that
both
I
are
know.
maybe happening, but maybe there's also, we've done studies that women aren't necessarily needing something sexual. They're more needing something in terms of companionship at a certain age.
But
So
I must
maybe
tell you, the
both are
sexual
different.
aspect of someone else who kind of gets what your body's about is intriguing.
But a man
Because
get- a man
no.
can get
No. That's all about school. You have to teach them.
So you're saying a woman intrinsically knows what your body needs? I don't think so.
Excuse me, she knows her body works the same way that yours does, but you don't use any of these devices, so you might not know this.
Yeah, no, I like the stinky, the hairy, the hard, the nappy. I
Well,
like all of it.
Well, hopefully you'll find that. Hopefully you will find that. But if you don't, we've offered you an alternative.
We don't give men enough credit. I think there are a lot of men out there who know exactly what to do with a woman's body.
There are a lot of them out there, but unfortunately,
You saying there's
they're
more
not.
than not?
More, yes.
More men than not?
More men,
Well,
yes,
I
more
agree with
men
you.
need because our bodies work so much differently. A man is right there. If he has to go to the bathroom, he's right there. He can take care of business. But for us, yes, physically they're very different. And what I'm saying is,
we are designed to fit together so
No, but
beautifully.
what she's saying is, she's not saying that.
What the
you know what? Get a pillow.
Can I just say
My pillow does the same thing.
The thing is, Whoopi is saying that a man doesn't necessarily instinctively know what pleasures a woman.
Oh, they know.
But no, they don't. Wait a
know.
second. They have to be taught.
You got to teach a man what
We can't it's stuff we can't talk about, because if we could talk about it, I would tell you what you needed to teach them.
nighttime show one day.
Now listen, before we go, yes, you see Bill back there going.
No, Bill likes this conversation.
No, he's not all that crazy about this conversation because he's doing this. And when you see him doing this,
we're about to start doing hand
but
signals.
listen, if you guys ever want to take a spin,
Yeah.
I don't know who that was. Someone just went down like that.
That was Dave.
Dave, was that you?
One of the crew guys, yeah.
Listen, yesterday I took a spin on a Gray Line, New York City's tour bus, as part of their New York Ride of Fame campaign. And so if you happen to want to take the tour of New York City and you happen to see my bus, which says, of course, Whoopi on it, please feel free, because it's quite an interesting way to go and see around this. I do look pretty good, don't I? Yeah. You know, our man took that picture, the man who photographs us all the time. Now, listen, when we come back, we'll come back with America Ferrera, and she's got an amazing film we're going to tell you
Very
about.
good film.
Yeah.
The Dry Land, America Ferrera plays the wife of a soldier returning from war who's struggling to leave the violence behind and get back to civilian life. Take a look.
James, I understand what happened last night. You know, if you ever want to talk about anything.
No, I'm fine. I don't want to talk about it. Hey. You look really pretty today.
the tip of the iceberg. Please welcome America Ferrera. So pretty. I love your dress.
Why, thank you.
You know, we watched this movie last night. It's a very affecting film. It's basically about soldiers coming back from war, from Iraq, and the sort of post-traumatic stress disorders that they suffer from, and how they really, it's hard to get help for it and deal with it. Tell me about your character in it.
Well, I play Sarah, his wife, and, you know, big bulk of my research for the role was speaking to women who were willing to talk to me about their experiences with their husband returning home, and some of them had diagnosed PTSD, some not diagnosed, but definitely had symptoms. I mean, I think that regardless of the stigma of the disorder, just the transition of going from being in Iraq or Afghanistan for 12 to 18 months and then coming home to a strip mall. Like, if you can try and imagine what that, just that transition alone, it doesn't necessarily have to be labeled a disorder. It's just called transition, you know?
Yeah, that's true.
And I got to speak to a lot of the women who were willing to talk to me. And you know, I really felt good about the fact that this film didn't just portray the soldier perspective, which is, you know, a really important one for us to understand, but it also the family's perspective and the sacrifices that the family makes and how hard it is for wives and children and mothers and fathers and sons to kind of regain like a certain connection when one person has been through an experience that's unexplainable, that you can't really find words for.
The entire family and friend too. I know you've been screening this on military bases, which I think is incredible. 4th of July, you were at Fort Carson in Colorado.
Fort Carson, yeah.
Yeah, Fort Carson, sorry. And you were talking to 2 moms of veterans, correct?
Yeah, we met right after the screening. We met 2 Gold Star moms, which means that they had lost a child in the war. And one woman lost her son in Iraq, and her other son was in Afghanistan presently. And then another woman had lost her son, and you know, they came up to us, and you know, it's nerve-wracking because you make this movie about people's lives, and they're sensitive issues, and you don't want to, you know, offend anybody. But I was nervous about what they would think, and one of the moms came up and she said, "I feel like what he did, his memory and his bravery lives on." When a story is honest and tells the real trials, and not that we just say, they're our heroes and we're really proud of them and get back to work and get back to life. Like, that's almost dishonoring the experience that they've been through. And just when we have these conversations and these Q&As, just the outpouring of stories that come out of the soldiers, you know, they line up and we sign autographs and we take pictures, and they're just so anxious to tell their story.
It's probably lonely for them to be in that state and not have,
and for their families as well, because I feel like I'm an educated woman who seeks out news and really tries to be educated, and yet I feel like before I made a conscious effort to know military people and their families, I was incredibly disconnected from what it's like to be a military family or service person in this country. And so,
well, so some people say the country is not at war; these families are at war.
Absolutely. Right. Well, I'll tell you one thing is when we all come back, I mean, we as a, you know, these are going to be our next door neighbors. So it's not just going to be, you know, it's not them and us. It's us as a
responsibility as well. I think, too, you watch this film, and it is this intimate story that is so relatable to a lot of military families. But the great thing is there's a call to arms at the end that if you do know somebody, I think it's militaryonesource.com and realwarriors.net are the two websites that the film directs you to. If you know someone going through something like this transition or post-traumatic stress disorder, it's incredible that the film is able to do that.
And President Obama, you can ask him about it when he comes on, made an announcement just a couple weeks ago that they're trying to make it easier for soldiers with PTSD to access health, you know, the care that they need. And I just think that it's my generation's opportunity. It's our opportunity to do it differently this time, to take care of these soldiers in a way that we haven't as a country in the past.
Why do you think that is? Why do you think that we say, okay, go do this for us, and then folks come back, and there's no place for them to go and talk about this, because they're walking around with these memories thinking, I'm not going to tell anybody, this is just my story, nobody will care.
Well,
Why
I think there's a stigma against mental disease in this country, period. And then you add on top of it the military culture, which is about being brave, about being strong, about being self-dependent and self-reliant. And it's a hard stigma to get across. And I think that as a nation, we at least owe them to listen to their stories, or to hear their stories, or to tell their stories. And
you did something quite amazing, because a lot of these soldiers have used art to express themselves when they could not talk about what was going on. And you went and you purchased many of the soldiers' works.
When we were in Colorado Springs, there's this organization that helps treatment of PTSD through art. It's called art therapy. And some of these soldiers, you've just seen the pictures now, they've never painted before in their lives. Some of them just walk in never having put paint to a canvas. And if their goal is not to paint a pretty picture, their goal is just to follow their instincts and put down what they feel. And then there's an amazing, trained therapist to help them kind of look at their art and say, where's this coming from? And it was such a I mean, it's examples like that of that's such an interesting way to relate to a soldier through art. It doesn't necessarily have to be, a movie, or, I mean, there's so many different ways to go about it.
America, something that's also really great, changing the tune a little bit. Your fiance, Ryan Pierce Williams, who directed and wrote the film. You guys are engaged.
We are.
Yes, you are. So have you set a wedding date yet?
No, we have not. No, we've been really busy. We just got back from Iraq in June. We went on a USO tour. Well, we got engaged, and then the next day we left to Iraq. So that's
You've been working.
So that's sort of been the trajectory of our lives for a while, and just really feeling like it's important to get this movie out in front of the people that I think need to see it, which is our
important to say.
Absolutely. You guys are a good team to work on this.
Absolutely. Thank you for coming on our show to share this.
Thank you for having me. I really appreciate it.
Definitely. The Dry Land is in select theaters this Friday. When we come back, we're finding out the laws of sexual attraction.
Attracted to the wrong guy, or why a happily married couple stops having sex? An article in this week's New York Post decoded the laws of sexual attraction and featured our next guest, Associate Professor of Psychology at UCLA and an expert on sexual behavior, Dr. Martie Haselton. Welcome. We know that you've studied everything from dating to relationships, and specifically today we're going to start by talking about the study that when a woman ovulates, how it impacts how she feels towards men on a number of levels,
that's right? That's right. When a woman is in the fertile phase of her cycle, so that's the day of ovulation and a few days before that, women tend to go for the bad boy traits. They tend to go for more masculine faces, more masculine bodies, and even more dominant behavior.
So even anything down to like online dating, you could look at a guy during that time and maybe think, oh, this is someone that could be my soulmate, and you're just looking.
And you might change your mind a few days later.
Don't date during those days? What do you suggest?
I'd say I would suggest that women check a man out over a series of days or weeks before making any big decisions.
That sounds like it's evolution, because women are ovulating. They have to have babies at that time. That's when your eggs are dropping. And to perpetuate the human species, you need a man who's masculine and can protect you, etc.
Yes, well,
doesn't mean he makes a great husband in New York City.
That's right.
What about, how does it affect like fidelity and cheating?
Right. So what does this do in women's relationships?
Sure.
Well, if a woman is paired, so if her boyfriend or her spouse has those traits that she desires more when she's fertile, then she experiences a little bump up in attraction to him on those days.
Okay.
If not, then she might notice the hunky male gardener, or possibly the masculine guy in the next cube at work.
So should guys like grow a beard when they know we're ovulating, just to like present themselves as like?
Got 2 days to grow a beard.
Well, in our work, what we find is that women's male partners actually pay more attention to them. They're more attentive and loving toward them. So
when we're ovulating.
Yes, when they're ovulating. And so men seem to be aware that they are somewhat at risk.
But how could, that's so funny, because you said that men are affected as well when women are ovulating, but how how can they even tell that a woman is ovulating?
Right, ovulation is hidden within our
Yeah,
bodies.
this
So,
is
how do men know this? Well, we've actually, so there's one provocative study that I'll tell you about that demonstrates the general principle, which is that men's behaviors change depending on where women are in their cycle. It was a study of lap dancers.
Okay.
And when lap dancers were near ovulation, they made $100 more per shift than at other phases of their cycle. Now, that doesn't tell us anything.
Are they unionized? I mean, how does anybody know? Do they tell them, hey, I'm
They're reporting
ovulating?
to the researchers. Yeah, so researchers asked women to record every day what their tips were, and also.
So what did they say?
But were they more into it because they were ovulating?
That's right.
This is the key question, and this is what actually research in my laboratory has sought to address. What is it about women that's changing that could cause a change in men? So why are men responding differently?
Yeah.
We find that women are more flirtatious when they're fertile. Their voices raise in pitch, so they become more feminine and therefore more attractive. Their body odors are even more attractive.
To men. Interesting. Now,
Oh, there, darling. Keep that arm down.
Aren't those called pheromones or something?
Pheromones.
That you release.
But men, but the body odor effects, like men didn't you say that men were sniffing the underarms of women's
This is a study that we
clothing?
actually
You
were
did
brave
that?
enough to do in my
What guy
laboratory.
did that?
What guys? So which guys would be willing to actually go and smell women's underarm scents? Well. So what we did was we attached gauze pads underneath women's arms near ovulation, and then a few days afterwards, they brought them both into the laboratory, froze them in our freezer, then we defrosted them all, brought a group of guys in, and we asked them to smell the two samples and tell us which of them they thought smelled better.
and they were fine with the armpit pops. They were like, totally from the freezer, I'm okay with this.
You know what, when we told them that we wanted them to evaluate how attractive women's body odors were, they were actually pretty enthusiastic about it.
What'd you find with that?
We also paid them $20.
Did you try them?
And what'd you find? What'd you find with?
Well, we found that they chose the high fertility body odors as the ones that were more attractive, and they also told us that they smelled
But who wants to
sexier.
marry a man who works for $20? These guys are losers.
A woman who's only making $10 might be happy with a man who's making $20.
That's initiative. He's actually working, I think, $20 an hour.
We were talking about in Hot Topics about women becoming lesbians later in life.
Right.
Did you do any kind of research on that? Because we had different opinions on that.
Right, I heard. I actually haven't done that research myself, but I know it well. Several of my colleagues study this.
Okay.
What appears to be the case is that men's sexual orientation is set early in life, and it doesn't change. Men don't change their sexual orientation at different points in their life, whereas for women, it is much more fluid. Women are much more sexually fluid.
Okay.
There are even sexual arousal studies. So you can show pornographic images of various sorts to men and to women, and from those, you basically can tell whether the guy is straight or gay, but from women's, you can't tell. You can't tell because women show genital arousal to all of the different kinds of combinations.
So if you're saying that we fluctuate, does it mean that a woman could go through a phase?
Just flow.
Yeah. But does it mean that a woman could go through a phase of where she is attracted to a woman, but then later on she wants to? That doesn't mean that she's gay.
That's right. It doesn't mean that she permanently switches. So she might go back.
What about during ovulation then? Does a woman who then is a lesbian in a relationship then, does that affect her relationship as well in a negative way?
That's a great question, and there's actually not enough research done on that. We would love to study that in my laboratory.
Study, I feel. We want to thank you for coming. This is certainly interesting. As odd as the armpit study is, it apparently works. Thanks to Dr. Martie Haselton. We will be right back. It's great. That, I think, was actually...
For providing our entire studio audience with their delicious Keebler Fudge Shop cookies. Their rich chocolatey fudge makes every bite uncommonly good, and Apple and Eve for providing them with a bottle of their delicious 100% pure juice.
So, we've learned about what makes us turned on, what turns you on. Now, go out and have a great day and take a little time to enjoy the view.